clown. Hello, friends. Welcome back for another amazing conversation with Juliana and Jessica. We're here to have some fun. We're loving that we're into spring. I don't know about you, but the weather here is amazing, and I hope it's
Yeah.
great where you are too. As spring is one of these like birth awakening periods. It came to me as I was thinking about things is that it's going to be really good that we get back to a foundational start at the beginning with aligning our energies. And I'll share a little bit more about what that means from a woven light context. But I think that kind of brings us to a point where, hey, we're in the starting point. We've got equinoxes, we've got transits and all kinds of eclipses and everything else happening right now. Coming back to that core basic energy helps you to navigate all of this fun stuff. So we were just talking about earlier about sleep disturbance.
Oh, yes. Well, between these eclipses and then all of this with Venus retrograde now dipping back into Pisces, I think that's tomorrow. And then we have Mercury retrograde. So communications and tech are an absolute mess. And everybody's kind of feeling that spring energy, that Aries get up and go, like time to get stuff done. But the
Yeah.
rest of the energies are just not supporting it right now. And everybody's getting ready to meet up, at least many of the heavy hitting planets are getting ready to meet up in the same sign as they come out of their retrogrades. And so we're at a really, really pivotal and interesting time in, the cosmological aspect of things, but we can see it absolutely within the world. And we're seeing more healers coming up and popping out and just all of this new energy behind this healing movement and this awakening movement. And oh my goodness, such a rush.
It is a rush. I love it. We actually physically moved to a completely different town. The place we were at, we joke that they're stuck in 1985. And they're happy there. Like they don't care that they're completely caught in a time warp. I didn't feel like we could progress there, right? So coming into this area where we're at now, it's younger, it's more youthful energy. There's a lot of construction and growth. There's a college here, so you get all that young energy around a university. Um, and so it feels movement here. And there's waterfalls all the way around. There's rivers, there's all kinds of water movement here. I checked the ley lines. The ley lines are really solid here. They haven't been interfered with. So there's all these cool things that when we were looking for land and looking for places to go, this just felt right. Like it just felt here. This is good. This is good. This is good. And when we buy the property for Terwin, it has water on 3 of 4 sides. There's a waterfall on the corner of the property across the road. There's lots of rock and lots of trees and lots of grass. So it'll be it'll be such a cool place to go. And get yourself grounded and get your energies aligned, which this is the thing that is coming up a lot in client sessions as well, is aligning the energy. So we're aligning to name. The name you were given has an energy to it. So lots of people don't resonate with their name. So as an example, someone might say, I don't like my first name. I use my middle name. Or, well, that name reminds me of so and so. My mom used to say that. Well, don't my people didn't like my nickname, or my mom didn't like my nickname because it reminded her of someone in high school she didn't like. So we attach all these heavy, negative, yucky energies to names. So we want to clear that out. We do that through the full court of atonement. That gives us this alignment. And then once we're aligned with our name as our core resonant frequency, we then align with our birth date because those numbers have frequency. They are frequency. So my birthday, 09/23/1970, I had to align with the 09, the 23, the 1970, and then chunks in between, and then the whole number. And then it aligned you astrologically with your birth date, right? And then we align with place. So I align people with birthplace and with the place that they're at, because the place that they're at, if they're not living in their birthplace, is a different frequency. And when we moved from Michigan, I was pretty aligned there. We moved to Florida. I did not get aligned. I could not align there. There too much water, too much stuff going on there. Did not align well there. Didn't feel good when we lived there. Moved to Kentucky, could not get alignment there. That's the place that stuck in 1985. Now we're here, and I immediately feel alignment. I feel centered. I feel back into my body. We were sitting at a restaurant the other night, and I'm like, I can feel the energy moving under my feet here. So this is the right spot. And alignment comes to, and I'll open this conversation for you, Jessica, because you know far better than I do, is the idea of alignment through astrocartography.
Yes, yeah. I definitely feel like I feel like my current location is not in alignment with my next phase of life, where I'm headed, but I understand why it was needed in the interim. And even my house number, the number that it represents is a period of growth.
Yeah.
So I'm very much not just into astrocartography, but also the numerology, the elemental effects of the planets, and all of these things kind of congealing together. You add in, the human design gates and open and close. So you have this whole just intricate system of understanding for each person. And we all have this super unique blueprint. And one of those components being astrocartography is your location matters. Location isn't a joke. There are some places that just call to me. For example, I know for certain that before my life ends, I must go on a pilgrimage to Mount Shasta.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
calls me every day, all the time. I need to see Egypt. I need to see Australia. I need to go and hang out with my ancestral Native American tribe down in Virginia. Like, there are certain things that essential to our being, our nature. And when we are when we are aligned with the things that are calling into our lives, it seems that more beautiful serendipity, more opportunity, more opens up for us because we are open to things. And
Yeah.
when we're not in alignment, when we're not in a place where we're supposed to be, or we're not around people we're supposed to be around, there is continuous resistance and blockage and defeat and frustration, So it is really important for us to learn our own natural alignment and how to stay in tune with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely agree. Um, I did the astrocartography, and it was interesting because my husband and I, she said, your best place is Colorado. We both went, no, we don't want to do Colorado. We don't, neither one of us have a desire to go to Colorado. She said, well, North Carolina is very good for you. Indiana is very good for your husband. And I'm like, I'll go to North Carolina, but he doesn't want to go to North Carolina at all. And I said, what about Tennessee? And she goes, yeah, that's neutral. It's pretty good for you guys. Like it could work very well for you guys there. But you want to retire to the Maldives. And I'm like, that I can agree with. Like, or retire to the
Hopefully your husband's
Maldives,
in agreement as well, right?
right? Right? I'm so drawn to Turkey. I've been drawn to Turkey for years, and specifically Turkey and Morocco, two areas I'm very, very drawn to, which the Maldives isn't far from there. And then Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, I must go there. I must go there. I don't know what it is about Göbekli Tepe, but that is a must do. And I almost booked the flight last year. I came very, very close to booking the flight, and I should have booked it. But I think when I was actually looking at airfare was when they had the major earthquake along the Turkey-Syrian border, which isn't far from Göbekli Tepe, and they were just warning people don't go there. It's a mess, services, and there you have to go in Turkey, you must be guided. And so I thought, maybe this isn't the best time to go. So it's okay. I mean, I'll go later. but it's definitely on my, so come see Göbekli Tepe. Now I've astro traveled through Göbekli Tepe. And in healing, I've traveled through, there was a door that opened up. Where the heck was it? Was it Egypt? Jerusalem. I can't remember exactly where it was, but literally there was a wall that had no door, and then one morning a door opened up. And this was probably a year and a half ago. And so I traveled through that one and ended up going through Prague and then through Stonehenge. And we were traveling through different areas, and it opened up a new portal, is what happened. That was pretty cool. No, my apologies. My grumpy old dog is being grumpy.
Oh,
So he gets to be on video right now. This is his pick me up cry. So he'll get to be on video, even though he doesn't like to be on camera. This is Anakin for anybody that wonders. He'll be 18 in June. So
oh goodness. How's
grumpy.
he liking the move?
Yeah.
Is he liking the move okay?
He's now adjusted to it. We've moved him so many times that the first couple of days, not great. 2 days ago, we found his CBD, which we hadn't been able to find. So he had a little CBD and he was very chill.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
very chill for the day. And then yesterday was actually pretty good. Doug left this morning to go pick up some stuff at our property in Kentucky and bring it here because we're going to ride side by sides this weekend. And he started freaking out as soon as he saw Doug putting his shoes on. So he has to be near another human. So just need to quiet him a little bit. I do a lot of energy work with him as well. And there are times when he's calm and I'm calm that we can dimensionally travel.
Oh,
We
nice.
travel together. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So
I definitely see the importance of our relationship with our animals. Our cats are very I don't know, our cats and the dog that we had were all very much attuned to us. And if we just took the time to tune into them, they were easy to understand if they weren't feeling well, if they needed something, the telepathic connection for me between animals is pretty strong. So
sure.
again, that goes back to being in alignment. Sometimes we're so busy and, doing so many things that we're not really in the flow of life like our animals tend to be. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's good for us to let them bring us back down into that flow once in a while and really tap in. They're good little I don't know, familiars, I guess.
Yeah.
They're good catalysts to help with spiritual work for sure.
They really are. And I think that it's important to note that animals often reflect our levels of stress. Working, especially small dogs. So little dogs, of course, they're attached to their humans a lot. And a human that is in stress or out of alignment can mean their animal is in stress and out of alignment. And so I think that's an important awareness that if your dog is stressed, pay attention to what your stress level is. He on his own will get nervous and anxious. And then he comes to me. Doug now calls me Awa. If you remember from Avatar where they linked together, this is the two of us. And so I am his safe space.
Um,
So you notice as soon as I pick him up, he's like, oh, I'm good.
I think in motherhood, we kind of see that a little bit too. We can help our children regulate or dysregulate. And I know a lot of us learned dysregulation in childhood. So, it's been an interesting journey for me because I have kids between 18 and 8.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
the 18-year-old got the worst of me, but he has seen me evolve into a better quality of parent, a more regulated human being, more
Yes.
emotionally aware
Right.
for my younger children. So my younger children don't have to experience the same things that he experienced or the same things that I experienced because I learned from a dysregulated parent who learned from a dysregulated parent. So I'm trying to teach my children now to learn to regulate themselves. And thankfully, my boys have at least caught the tail end, before they head out into the world. They've started to see the importance of self-regulation and self-awareness and
Yeah.
being in alignment. And also, I think in a family environment, we have to learn some sort of alignment with our other family members, with our
Sure.
home, with our land, with our neighbors.
Yeah.
And I think more often than not, people live out of alignment because they're in a job that they don't really want to do. It's just a
Right.
job they have to do. Or they live in an area that they don't really like, or they want to have a feud with their neighbors, or little things that really don't make a big deal, but
Right.
they're significant enough to cause that energetic misalignment. And then
Yeah.
we wonder why, we develop chronic illnesses and things like that when we've been sitting in an energy for long enough, it becomes a chronic condition. You're chronically feeling that same energy of discontent, of misalignment. It's kind of
Yeah.
like you go to a chiropractor for a while and you get all aligned and you're feeling great and you're walking around feeling wonderful. And then you stop going for a while and you start to get out of alignment, and it's subtle at first. You don't really recognize it, but it sends you far enough off course that one day you're like, man, I need to be realigned again. Same
Right.
thing happens in our energetic bodies, and learning that and then learning how to manage that
Yes.
is a whole other animal. That's kind of why we started Circle, right?
Yes.
It's
It
so that
is.
we can help people learn that.
Yes. Well, and the nice thing about Circle as a regular thing is that reminder to come back into alignment with yourself, the reminder to, uh, whether it's ritual, ceremony, meditation, yoga, qigong, whatever it is, to remind yourself to do that for yourself and for everyone around you. I think one thing I'd like to emphasize on the alignment side, a couple things, to piggyback on what you said. The misalignment to career or job feels like hitting the snooze button 10 times, dreading Monday mornings, living for Friday afternoons.
Mhm.
You're there and you feel tense and grumpy. You snap at people. You're eating a lot, you're eating to numb things. Or you come home and the first thing you need to do is have a few glasses of wine every single day to come down from that. That is likely a misalignment to your work slash career or your business, whatever it is. It may have been in alignment to begin with, but as you're progressing through life, it can fall out of alignment. And that's totally okay. Just the key there is begin to ask for alignment. And this is the prayer element of it, is to ask for clarity and alignment. If this is not right for me, if this is not aligned with me, what might be aligned with me? What do I need to learn? What is exciting me these days? How can I spend time regaining that alignment? What tools do I need to maintain that alignment? And then on the alignment side with family, I want to kind of draw a line of demarcation between alignment and people pleasing.
Mm.
Because alignment with your with a family dynamic that is in harmony is alignment. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, it's okay that I do my thing and you, like last night, Doug went and played pool and I stayed in the house and did my thing. That's fine. That's totally in alignment. This weekend, we're going to do some stuff together. That's also in alignment. The people pleasing part of it might be I really just want to spend an evening by myself. But instead, because I got a guilt trip or I got I heard the shaming words of, well, we never spend enough time together, or you always want to do things on your own, is that people pleasing element of it and is not in alignment with yourself. Now, at first, you may not be able to say no to that, but big part of the work that we encourage people to do is to find that center. So I talked about aligning with name, date, place from an energetic standpoint. But we also then can do alignment to bring back all of the pieces of your spirit and your soul that have been fractaled out for various reasons. And once you bring that in and you line that up, that's when you're like, oh, I feel whole and good by myself. Now, I may want other people around me, but I'm also okay by myself. I feel
Mhm.
good with myself. That's when you can find a level of authenticity, a level of who am I and how do I want to be in the world? And you can do that with that alignment. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's that's something that I have realized in making some shifts in my own boundaries.
Mm,
Um, a few months ago, I moved into my own separate bedroom. So that is exclusively my space. And to finally have that opportunity to just be in my own energy, not in anyone else's energy, and just
yeah.
sit with me, that has been such a breath of fresh air. I honestly don't want to go back. I want to continue to stay in my own energy.
I understand.
Um, because I've started to remember who I always was,
Mm,
but have, like you said, I've put that aside or pushed it down to be a people pleaser. I've been a people pleaser my whole life. Don't do that because someone else is going to be mad at you for it.
yeah.
And it's been a hindrance to success for me,
Sure.
absolutely, most definitely. And it's caused me to not put the onus on myself, but try to blame it on other people, when
Sure.
ultimately it was my unwillingness to set that boundary and to be, um, command my own energy, stand in my authority, stand in my sovereignty, and be who the creator put me here to be.
Yeah.
And that's been a hard thing to navigate too, because when you brought up prayer earlier, I noticed this internal resistance for me. Now, coming from a a background where I was so deeply devoted to prayer. I mean, we would spend hours in prayer on our faces for everyone in the church. I was deeply in prayer. And now, since I have been through my deconstruction journey, I have a very different understanding of and relationship with our creator.
Yeah.
It's much more expansive and much more reverent, um, but also much more um, soft and not so authoritative. But
Yeah.
now I find that I'm like, I'm not really sure how to pray in this space
Mm,
anymore. So it's been an interesting journey to kind of listen to others who've been on a similar path and how they choose to pray and things that they're considering. Because, for a long time it was, oh, you ask God, supplication, you pray for help with other people's things, and maybe you pray for help with your own things. And then now it's more of this um, sort of commanding, I guess. And I'm still stuck somewhere in between. I understand that asking is coming from a place of not having. Well, if I am part of the infinite creator, then everything is accessible to me. I merely need to reach out my hand, open it up, and wait for it to arrive, right? Ask, believe, receive. It's just that simple. But how often do I set those own boundaries for myself where I limit myself? And right now, that limitation for me is prayer. Do I ask? Do I tell? So
yeah.
I'm in a weird spot with that.
I think it's a little bit of both, right? So, I one of the shifts I had to do in terms of getting in alignment with creator, I call my term for the energy of the creative energy of the universe is creator or creator weaver. Um, and so I had to get out of the mindset of energy outside of myself, great energy somewhere in the sky that may or may not listen to me, may or may not approve of what I'm asking for, may or may not agree, etc. May or may not have decided that I did a good thing today. That was the other big thing, right? Um, and so, and to bring that integration internally. So what I did to help myself, because I know that I am a piece of creation, we are imbued with the creation energy, right? That's where we come from, the creation energy. We have control of the creation energy. We are the creation energy. So in that context, what I did was in my heart chakra, I do it gardening. So I love heart chakra gardening. In fact, I wrote a book about it, put it on Amazon. But the the idea that I have this now in my heart chakra, I have a garden, and in that garden, I have a round table. And at that table sits myself, my guides, the creator. Jesus shows up every so often to come in with some good stuff. Of course, I've got Mary Magdalene, and I've also got Hecate on occasion, Lilith on occasion, the other kinds of what they call dark goddesses. I love the dark goddesses because we get like that rich, deep soil. That's how I see the dark goddesses, rich, deep soil. And so there'll be any number of guests come in for this roundtable discussion. And it's an opportunity for me to put forth my requests. This is what feels aligned. This is what I'm loving these days. This is how I'd like it to look, this or something better. And I'm asking for this to happen. I'm also asking for clarity, simplicity. These are my prayers. I would like this to happen. I would like to be clear about it. I'd like it to be simple. I'd like, to be easy. I'd like to be aligned with the people that are the right people. Those are my prayers. And so, yes, it is a request, but it's also a command at the same time. It's not a would you please, was I a good enough girl today for you to grant me this wish that seems so far out and maybe I'm not worthy of it. And we put all this interference in there versus I sat down at the table. I'm at a round table because I'm not at the end of it. That was what was important for me because this is the collaboration, myself and creator, my guides, dragons, whomever else I'm working with. So in that collaboration, I put forth, this is what I'd like to see happen, and would you help me make it simple and clear? And so I get clarification. I had one nugget. We're doing this Terrawind development. I had a nugget that was just nagging at me. I could not find the answer to it. And I was trying to make it too complicated. And so my prayer this week was just, can it be simple? And then I was introduced to this platform, got on it. Everything's simple. It's easy. They're going to do all the work that I don't know how to do on my own. Good to go. Answered, done, implemented. Took 10 minutes. So,
Well,
yeah.
and that's because you were in alignment with the energy to receive exactly what you needed for that.
Yeah.
But that came through to a process of you releasing that and going, okay, well, whatever's going to happen around that, I'm not going to worry about the how, just going to focus on the what.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's, I think a lot of people get bogged down in how and they start to doubt themselves and, oh, this isn't going to work. And, oh, maybe this is an unrealistic goal. And then they throw themselves out of alignment with their dreams and their visions because they're still trying to do it in their own power and they're not, intuitively driven. I think that's kind of an important component of alignment. I think when you are making decisions instead of from a place of just rationality, well, this is the way things are done, so this is the way I'm going to do them too, and you go with what your heart leads you to do, that brings you back into your true essence, your true nature, and your own mission and purpose that just naturally expresses through you, regardless of which ways you try to manhandle and manipulate it to go the way you want it to go.
I do it in my own power, but because I have that collaboration, and I also know what I don't know, right? I don't know. I didn't know where that solution was going to come from. I didn't know these people before a week ago. I did not know how I was going to solve how that issue was going to get solved. And I take myself out of that. How is that issue going to be solved? And rather than saying, I don't know how it's going to work, this was given to me just a few days ago and I just love it. So I'm sharing it. Instead of saying, I don't know how I'm going to get the legal part of this solved for this investment, the turn of phrase is, I'm really curious how this is going to get solved.
I love
Really
that.
curious where this person's going to come from. I'm really curious how that money's going to come through. I'm really curious about my husband, we were talking about, we moved and my husband's like, where are we going to live? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm curious to see what comes through. And the very right thing for us came through.
Yeah, it definitely did.
So
Definitely.
I did a TikTok on this. I'm going to ask, okay, so what is aligned for me? I'm going to do actions around that. I'm going to ask, that's the prayer portion of it. And then I'm going to trust, and then I'm going to do, and I'm going to ask, and I'm going to trust. I'm going to do and ask and trust.
Mhm.
And it's just those little phrase turns. And there's a lot I don't know, but I'm curious to find it out. I'm very curious to find it out. I'm curious to find where it's going to come from or when it's going to come through. I'm curious to see as I see myself a certain way as I'm developing Terrawin, I'm curious to see how that's going to morph through, how that's going to come on.
Mhm.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
curiosity. There's an adventure
Well,
to it.
it's that heart of a child mentality, you know. If you look at the world around you with wonder instead of cynicism, I feel like you get a lot farther that way. In
Yeah.
all aspects of life.
Absolutely. And there is to the childlike piece of it, there is this, if you think about um kids, little ones, right? They just skip through life. They look for the mud puddles and go and splash in them. They assume that lunch is going to be served. They assume that they're going to be taken care of. There is this just natural, free flowing, joyful element of the innocence of childhood. And there's a lot to be said for that. The thing that I do when I'm feeling low and down is I say, okay, even though I'm in a moment of doubt, I'm curious to see how this will be resolved. And in the meantime, I'm going to play some music and I'm going to dance. And sometimes I don't feel like dancing, but I'm going to move my body anyway because that moves the energy, right? Next thing you know, I got a smile on my face and everything's in the right path. And then those answers flow through. And then the solutions come. So sometimes it just takes turning on some music and dancing to get into alignment.
I love that. That's the best way to do it, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I love this conversation. I think it's really awesome. We're going to have more of these kinds of conversations in our Firelight Alchemy Circle. So
Mhm.
we'll have foundational conversations and we'll also have alchemy conversations that are more designed for people that are working with others, healers, practitioners, chiropractors, things like that. We're going to be starting April 2nd. I'm super excited. And we'll have lots of good teaching series lessons, but we'll also then do the work and dive in and we'll grow together and we'll do some super cool fun stuff. I don't even know what all, but I'm curious to see what unfolds.
Me too.
So good. So we're inviting you into the circle. If you would, there'll be a link below this video. Click into it, give us your email address, and once we have all the details, we'll be emailing all that out shortly. That's going to be coming out next week, so you don't want to miss it. And share it with your friends and family. Anybody that you think is really ready. They're exploring, they're questioning, they're not sure, they're really ready to have some guidance and encourage them to come in, invest a little time and money, and get a whole lot of good stuff out of it. If you have any questions for myself or Jessica, You can find us on all the socials.
Mhm.
We're both on Facebook. We're both on Instagram, although I'm not as on IG as much. But we're both on TikTok as well. So you could find us there. And we look forward to meeting all kinds of amazing people in Circle.
I'm super excited to meet all of them.
Yay. I'm
Mhm.
very curious to see who's going to come in.
Mhm.
All right, my friend, another amazing conversation. Thank you.
As always. Thank you too.